Generator Rex was a Cartoon Network animated series created by Man of Action and focusing on an amnesiac teenager named Rex and his superhero adventures trying to save the world from dangerous evils. It ran from April 2010 to January 2013 and remains one of my favourite Western animations ever made. But how did this spunky, energetic, yet dark and sometimes quite sad series ever come to be? And where might it be going now? Well, let's find out. So make way to start a revolution. Make way, we're gonna have a dynamic way to start the revolution. So make way. So make way to start a revolution. Make way to start a revolution. So make way. Not everyone knows this, but Generator Rex actually began its life as a very short-lived comic series in 1999 named M-Rex, or Machina Rex. M-Rex was created by renowned comic writer Joe Kelly, who's also a man of action. It was inked by Aaron Souds, Alp Altoner, and Curtis Arnold, and the covers were designed by Duncan Rollo. The series lasted only 2 issues in 1999, although the reasons as to why it ended so soon are not very clear. Those 2 issues introduced us to the original incarnations of the characters that we would come to love in Generator Rex. Rex, Agent 6, White Knight, and Bobo Haha, who back then was just known as the Haha. As well as characters that we never got to meet in the show, such as Mia Moore, Simon Babbage, Shake, and Spilkin. The characters were quite different from the ones we know today. Rex was a 12-year-old kid with blonde hair and blue eyes, rather than the Mexican teenager that we know so well. He also has a different background, having somewhat of a Nathan Drake type origin story, being taken in by Spilkin, an older man who saw potential in the kid and taught him how to steal and live a life of crime. In terms of his powers though, M-Rex is very similar to Generator Rex, with the ability to build robots, speak to machines, and interfere with the nanites that exist in his environment. Six isn't too far from his TV show counterpart either, being a stoic assassin with a checkered past and difficulty obeying the rules. Although he does have this fascination with Poican, a swordsmanship technique that involves never being able to look at your own reflection and being able to see what awaits you after death. The idea is that when you attack someone, they see their own death, essentially. And much like at the start of the cartoon, Six sees Rex as little more than a tool in order to help Providence, a weapon that they can use against the evils. In M-Rex, White Knight isn't really like the one we know either. He's not the leader of Providence like in the show, but is Six's partner and an agent with a particular hatred of all machines. He even destroys a blender early in the first issue because he thinks that it looked at him funny. But like in the show, however, he is not a fan of Rex and sees him as a disaster waiting to happen. And Bobo, well, he's a half robot, half monkey who is really just an incoherent criminal in a fez. He doesn't really have much of a character. The first and second issues of M-Rex were titled The Actress, the Agent and the Apprentice and Size Matters, respectively, and they told the story of a future, well, the year 2005, where machines have evolved and developed their own sentient personalities and are launching a war on their human creators. The foreword of the first issue went like this. The world as you know it is not as you know it. Evolution did not peak with the human being and his opposable thumb and his diet cola. Oh no, friend. The world continues to grow and evolve, even as you sit here reading your funny book. Organisms, once barely considered alive, are developing a collective consciousness, a collective Bewusstsein, if you will. New species are vying for dominance. The world is in flux. Some, like the enigmatic group known only as Providence, would keep that information from you, so as to prevent the lemming-like pandemic that would surely ensue. They maintain and mitigate all information as regards new species, new civilizations, so the status quo stays quo. Others, like yourself, continue on their lives blissfully unaware of what's beyond the veil of their ken. but cannot escape the waves of change that loom on the horizon. What you don't know can, and soon will, hurt you. We join our story following the lives of three very different folks. One in the know, who wishes he wasn't. One who doesn't know she's in the know, but thinks she knows it all. And one who doesn't know nothing, including the dark truth that lives within his own heart. The agent, the actress, and the apprentice. Three ships passing in the night. Not likely, partner. These three are on a collision course with destiny. Join us, would you? Issue 1 centred around a charity event on the Sargasso Sapphire passenger ship hosted by actress Mia Moore and sponsored by her partner Simon Babbage, a member of Heaven Society, a pro-ecological organisation. However, unknown to Mia, she's been watched by Providence assassins Agent 6 and White Knight, and an army of monkeys. Elsewhere in the ship, Rex and Spelkin are trying to break in and steal stuff. Spelkin gives Rex the wrong directions in the ventilation shafts, which sends Rex straight into Six's hideout. Rex makes a run for it and ends up in Mia Moore's room, where she promises to help him. But later, White Knight tries to attack Simon Babbage, causing Simon to activate a robot in defense. Simon and Spelkin abandon Mia and Rex, but just as they're about to be killed, Agent 6 jumps in. But of course, Rex's power is manifest and he creates two giant robot fists and destroys the enemy. In issue 2, Rex returns to his hideout and tells Spelkin all about his new powers. Over in New Jersey, Six interrogates a target and learns someone named Shake sent Spelkin and Rex to rob the Sargasso Sapphire. Meanwhile, Spelkin has brought Rex to Marrakesh to meet Shake and show him Rex's new abilities. But when Shake turns into a giant robot, Spelkin offers Rex up as a sacrifice and then legs it. Mia arrives in Marrakesh with her assistant Darcy in an attempt to find Rex, since she promised to help him. And she does, just as he's fending off a killer monster. Six also shows up. Rex manages to save Mia, but Darcy dies and Rex refuses to help Spelkin, having realised that he never really cared for Rex at all and he was always just using him as a means to an end. Six is amazed by Rex's powers, but he's annoyed because Rex managed to get away and now he's lost the opportunity to bring the kid into Providence. And that's where the story of M-Rex ends. As I said earlier, it's never been stated publicly why M-Rex ended so soon, but thankfully, Joe Kelly had not given up on his story about a kid who can control machines, and 10 years later, he would begin preparations to bring M-Rex back as an animated series. It was only 1 year after the launch of M-Rex that creator Joe Kelly and cover designer Duncan Rollo teamed up with two other comic writers to form a creative studio called Man of Action Studios, now Man of Action Entertainment. The collective is made up of Joe Kelly, Joe Casey, Duncan Rollo, and Stephen T. Seagal. Over the years, they've created TV shows, comic books, and even a few video games. Their most notable creations are undoubtedly the original Big Hero 6 comic book that spawned the Disney movie of the same name, and the seemingly never-ending animated franchise Ben 10. It was after the unprecedented level of success by Ben 10 and its sequel series Ben 10 Alien Force that Man of Action considered bringing one of their old comic book characters back out of storage and giving him his own animated series. That character, of course, was Machina Rex. But a lot had changed in the 10 years since M-Rex was around, and Man of Action knew that whilst there were a lot of great concepts in the comic, they were going to have to make some changes to bring it to the airwaves in a new decade. Rex would no longer be a blonde-haired, blue-eyed 12-year-old, but a 15-year-old Mexican with tan skin and dark eyes and lashings of gratuitous Spanish. White Knight would be the leader of Providence, while Six would be a more by-the-book agent, having grown as a person since his earlier years. The team also decided to drop the Mia Moore character and replace her with a Providence doctor named Rebecca Holliday, who functions as the maternal figure in Rex's life. Bobo was also changed into an evil monkey who speaks perfect English, works for Providence, and is one of Rex's closest friends. Rounding out the main cast is Noah Nixon, a regular teenager who is Rex's only friend his own age and provides Rex with a tiny bit of normality in his Completely crazy life. Man of Action wanted to cast the best talent they could find for these roles, and they did just that. Generator Rex boasts a cast of some of the top voice actors in the business, as well as some movie stars and big-name celebrities. For the lead role of Rex, Daryl Sabara of Spy Kids fame was cast. Holiday and Bobo's roles went to veteran voice actors Grey DeLisle and John DiMaggio. White Knight was to be played by J. Jonah Jameson himself, J.K. Simmons. Noah's role went to former The Wonder Years star Freddie Savage, whilst the role of Agent Six was surprisingly given to Wally Kurth, a soap opera star with no prior voice acting experience, but who embodied Six's careful blend of stoicism and understated fatherly love just perfectly. Generator Rex burst onto Cartoon Network on the 23rd of April 2010 and was instantly loved by viewers. Man of Action had decided to keep Generator Rex similar in tone to Ben 10 Alien Force, which was airing alongside their new series. Generator Rex was more mature than some would have expected from a Cartoon Network show. Whilst it had moments of fun and laughter and Rex himself was a wisecracking teenager, the general mood of the show was dark and foreboding with some genuinely frightening ideas. The thought of waking up one day with no memory of your life, your parents, your friends. The thought of being taken in and used as a weapon by a government organisation. The thought that everyone you know and love could suddenly turn into a giant monster and attack you, and possibly be killed in order to protect the public. Whilst making a series that breaks from the norm is always a risk, for Man of Action, it seemed to pay off. Gen Rex was popular with children who enjoyed seeing a boy use his giant robot fists to punch monsters, and older children and teenagers gravitated towards the darker, more thought-provoking narrative. Indeed, I was 20 before I finally sat down and watched the series properly, and it instantly became one of my favourite shows. The idea behind Generator Rex was this. Years ago, a group of scientists were working on the Nanite Project, the creation of microscopic machines designed to aid humanity by eliminating disease, solving world hunger, everything you would want for the human race. Unfortunately, there was an explosion in the laboratory and the entire global population were infected with nanites. Well, except for White Knight, but that's a whole other story. Usually the nanites just live dormant in the human body, like the way that eyelash mites do, or certain bacteria. But if they activate, it turns the human into a mutated creature, which generally causes them to become violent and aggressive, and due to their size and the fact they can't be reasoned with, they usually end up being put down by the government. These beings are called EVOs, exponentially variegated organisms. I don't know what variegated means either, but if they used the word mutated, then the abbreviation would have been EMOs, and that's, something else entirely. Essentially, the world is now in the grips of a pandemic, except unlike COVID, there's no amount of vaccines or masks or social distancing that's going to protect you from the nanites. Everyone just has to live with the knowledge that they could turn into a monster at any moment, and so could anyone around them. Thankfully, there is one person who has the ability to turn these creatures back into humans. And of course, it's our boy Rex. Rex is himself an EVO, but he has a much higher level of control over his nanites and can use them to create weapons, communicate with machines, and actually cure other EVOs. Unfortunately, he also has amnesia and doesn't really know what caused it. Throughout the series, we learn alongside Rex who he really is, why he's connected to the nanites, and what happened to his family. But for the meantime, Rex lives at Providence headquarters and fights and cures EVOs alongside Agent Six. In the show, Providence are the big good, and while they don't always treat him brilliantly, Rex is happy working for them. Although he does run away a lot. And sometimes he just randomly ends up in Hong Kong. That's just the way it be sometimes. The show looks at some rather mature themes with a focus on science, looking at the way that this drive to create better technology can actually backfire dramatically and damage the Earth beyond repair. In the series, the whole city of Kiev doesn't exist anymore after it was wiped out by EVOs and had to be trapped under a dome. And then there are other deeper, more personal themes like the concept of found family and how our past do not define us. It's the decisions we make going forward and who we choose to be that really matters. Generator Rex ran for 3 seasons, and the third was definitely the darkest of all. Whilst it had some fun episodes, like Rex going to work on a movie set and having to chase a... what even was that? It was like a stoat or something. Around the movie studio. It also had some genuinely hard-hitting episodes, such as Assault on Abyssus, and pretty much everything in like the final few episodes, up to and including the 2-part finale. The series ended on the 3rd of January 2013 and faded into obscurity soon after. Whilst the show got a proper ending, unlike so many other cartoons, which it ended for very much the same reasons: lack of toy sales. Ben 10 was a powerhouse, and according to Man of Action's website, it's made $3 billion in merchandise sales over the years. And I can safely say that I've contributed at least around £100 of that. I own a lot of Ben 10 stuff. But Generator Rex did not generate the same revenue, and I think that was probably down to the demographic. Generator Rex was always aimed at older children, teenagers even more so. And whilst people that age might be happy to sit down and watch a cartoon, they might be less inclined to go to the store and buy toys. And so Generator Rex had no hope of holding its own in a world where shows like Ben 10 could survive on toys alone. I actually had the pleasure of meeting 2 of the Generator Rex cast members, Troy Baker and Tara Sands, at Comic-Con a few years ago, and they both said similar things to me about the show. That they wished it had ran longer, that they wished that Cartoon Network would have appreciated the huge European audience that Generator Rex got and not seen it as a failure because it wasn't as popular in America, and that it sucks that Cartoon Network relied so heavily on toy sales instead of the actual quality of their shows. Funnily enough, the exact same can be said about Disney Channel and Witch. And so Generator Rex ended, and that was the last we would ever see of our evil boy Rex. Or was it? Back in November 2011, Cartoon Network released a very special episode of Generator Rex, a crossover with Ben 10 Ultimate Alien called Heroes United. The double-length episode saw Ben accidentally warping into Rex's world and being caught up in a battle with a being called in itself Alpha. The episode was incredibly popular, and ever since, fans hoped that they would see a sequel episode which would see Rex land in Ben's world. Unfortunately, that didn't happen at any point throughout Ultimate Alien or Omniverse, except in a comic named Heroes Times 2, which even I, the most diehard of fans, haven't actually read. When Omniverse ended the original Ben 10 canon, fans assumed all hope for a crossover was lost. That was until April of 2021. The final season of Ben 10 2016 was made up of 3 44-minute special episodes, the second of which was called Ben Gen 10. For the first time in 8 years, Rex, Bobo and Six were on our television screens, all keeping their original designs, although adjusted to fit the art style of Ben 10 2016. Fans were curious as to what Rex's role would be in this episode. After all, this series of Ben 10 is a reboot, meaning that this Rex couldn't be the same one that we knew back in 2013. And sure enough, it wasn't. In this continuity, Rex is a young boy, probably closer in age to the original M-Rex, on the run with his talking monkey, Bobo Haha. According to Bobo, Rex has only recently discovered his abilities, and it's clear that he has not figured out how to control them yet. The pair are very much aware of the existence of Providence and Agent 6, and they are seemingly trying to evade them. This seems similar to the M-Rex storyline, where 6 wants to capture Rex and use him in Providence. The same is true in Generator Rex, except that by the time we meet 6, he's a much more caring person who, while stoic, did genuinely care about Rex. Even in the episode where we see the flashback of how Rex came to Providence, 6 actually does care about him and is trying to protect him from the people who don't seem to consider the fact that he's a genuine child and shouldn't be treated like a weapon. But this particular version of Agent 6 seems closer to his comic book counterpart, who is less of a good guy. But there's no saying that this 6 wouldn't, grow as a person. Rex's origin story is shown to be the same in this continuity, however. His parents were involved in the Nanite Project explosion, and he has no memories of his life, his family, nothing but Bobo. It's actually quite a sad scene as Bobo explains that Ben is lucky to have a family who love him, as Rex has nobody else in the whole world. As the episode proceeds, Six teams up with Rex and Ben to fight Hex and ultimately allows Rex and Bobo to escape, promising that if he does come across them again, he will take them into Providence. So what does this mean for the future of Generator Rex? Currently, there has been no word from Man of Action on a new series of Gen Rex, but this episode does make the possibility far more realistic. The fact that Rex is introduced in this episode at the start of his story kind of makes this feel like a backdoor pilot. For anyone who doesn't know, a backdoor pilot is where the producers of a TV show will allow creators with an idea for a new show use an episode of their program as a sounding board. Basically, the episode will feature very little of the series' usual characters and focus on a completely unrelated story, which will be used to gauge audience reception to the idea and present to the network executives to see whether the show will be picked up. Technically, Ben Gen 10 can't be a crossover, as there isn't a current series of Generator Rex to crossover with. And the Rex that appears in this episode is not the Rex that we saw in the 2010 series. So if it's not a crossover, then what could it be? A backdoor pilot, of course. It remains to be seen whether Man of Action will actually resurrect Generator Rex as a new series, but I would be incredibly curious to see what it's like if they do. Interestingly, the finale of Ben 10 2016, Alien Extinction, revealed that the Ben 10 universe is actually a multiverse, and that the Bens of each series all exist in their own realities. As a result, even if Generator Rex was rebooted, the original Rex would still exist in his own universe, which is a canon part of this multiverse now. This would allow a crossover between the original Generator Rex and the reboot if they ever wanted it. Kind of like when in Ultimate Alien, Ben met his younger self. It would even allow the Ultimate Alien Ben to meet the original Rex again if they so wished, now that we know that the Bens can cross over into different parts of the multiverse. You could even reunite the Ben and Rex that met all those years ago. With this new Ben 10 multiverse, the possibilities for Generator Rex are endless. Personally, I would be ecstatic to see it return. Whilst I'd obviously prefer a continuation of the original series that I knew and loved, I would be happy to have Rex back in any form. Although I really wish they kept Wally Kurth as Agent 6. I'm all for casting someone who's the correct race, and 6 was always Asian coded in the original series, but Wally was just so perfect for that role. And I'm not really sure that they can use that as a reason when Daryl Sabara is still playing Rex, and he's not Mexican, he's white with ginger hair. But this isn't my area. Only time will tell if Man of Action does decide to proceed in bringing Generator Rex back for a reboot. But in any case, this is the closest we've come in many years. And even if we don't, at least we got to see Rex one last time. I can live with that. After all, when it comes to Generator Rex, for good or for ill, our fates will follow the same path. And this one stays with me. Thank you for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I want to do a few videos on Generator Rex. It's, like I said, one of my favourite things. I mean, there's no way that you'll be able to see it, but I'll bring them over. I have a Generator Rex up on my I can't do it. This rack there that's got my figurines in it. Also, if you're wondering what's going on with my setup, my sofa bed is currently in bed form and it takes 2 people to put it back in. And I don't have anyone here to help me put it back, so I'm having to record on the sofa bed, which is why my camera and my whole setup looks wrong. It's also insanely dark, but I'm using the computer screen to try and light my face. This is what it's going to be like for the entire winter. The lighting is so bad, and unless I record during the like 4 hours of daylight that we get in Scotland, then this is what you're going to have to deal with. Me with a big luminous face. I'll get my Rex quickly, hang fire. Here he is, my son, my beautiful son, and he's got his fists. I really want to get more Generator Rex toys, I really do, because I feel like I need them. I have so many Ben 10 toys, I feel like I need more Generator Rex toys. But thank you once again for watching. Let me know in the comments down below if you want a new series of Generator Rex. Tell me if you saw Ben 10 Gen 10, tell me what you thought of it, because I mean, I came out of it with a lot of thoughts, but mostly just that I miss Generator Rex so much. And if you're a Generator Rex fan, just tell me, just let me know in the comments, because I'm always looking for people that I can talk to about Generator Rex, because no one in my life seems to have seen it but me, so let me know. But thanks for being here, and I will see you in the next one. Bye everyone! In this continuity, fuck's sake.